Thank you. Hey team, look at us go. Alrighty, all right. What's up, mind, body, spirit? Okay, so I'm gonna get us to stand up for a moment and we're gonna have a bit of a shake, all right? We're gonna shake out our bodies, so come on, jump up. Yes, you got the idea. Let's shake it out. So just shake the body. Go on. Shake off all of those free cacaos. Shake off all that tea. Shake off that to-do list. Go on. Keep shaking. It's annoying. Why are you making me do this? Shake off those expectations. Ugh. Society wants me to be something. Ugh, shake it off. Pat it off. Go on. Go on. And let's just take a couple of breaths together now too. All right, breathing in and out. And again, breathe in all the bullshit. Let it all go. And again, one more together. Breathe in and out. All righty, all righty. And you can sit down now. Okay, welcome everyone for having the guts to come to my talk today. Pleasure. Pleasure as a gateway to our authentic self. We're gonna explore this in just a moment. But who actually am I? Why am I speaking about this? Well, my name is Quinn Cush, and I help people rediscover their needs through pleasure. Okay, so I use this as a compass, as a modality to help people find themselves again. Okay, I'm a pleasure artist, which means that I create one-on-one and group experiences for people to question their pleasure. I also cuddle people for a living. Okay, sadly, the job of cuddling people and holding them and supporting them through dark times has become a job that gives me my income. Okay, so I cuddle people. That's a job, cuddle therapy. I'm a facilitator and have created over 500 touch-based experiences for people to learn how to give and receive healthy, safe, connected touch. Okay, my business is tendercore. It's like hardcore, but tender. It's about us reclaiming softness and presence in connection. Something that feels like it's slipping between our fingers in these modern times. I push the edges, okay? And I'm also a freestyle rapper, so maybe if you're lucky, you'll be able to hear a bit of that later, okay? So, pleasure as a gateway to your authentic self. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about pleasure. Now, before we start talking about pleasure, I want to ask us a couple of questions. Does anyone go to open their email and then come out 47 minutes later with 10 tabs open and feeling like they're in an altered state? Yes? Yes? Do any of us go out into nature to heal from a breakup and come back realizing that we just got drunk and didn't think about it at all? Yes, exactly. Okay, so we are living in an attention economy where your distraction is profitable. But don't worry, today we are going to get you back in your pleasure, baby. So when I talk about pleasure, I'm not actually going to take you down the path of some 50 Shades of Grey movie or try and sell you into my OnlyFans subscription, though I will talk to you about that later in private if you like. Okay, we are talking about simple, old school pleasures. Now I just sound like my dad. I'm talking about drinking a cup of tea in the morning and feeling the steam on your face. I'm talking about going for a walk in nature and noticing the fog through the trees. I'm talking about rainbows. I'm talking about being present with the touch of another human being. I'm talking about the type of pleasure where we are actually engaging in our presence and being with something for longer than 14 seconds. I'm talking about going to the bathroom, not taking your phone in there, and enjoying having that poo. So relieving. Okay? So, what actually is pleasure? Well, pleasure, it's a feeling. Okay? And feelings live in the body. And so these feelings that can happen through physical experiences of hugs, of being nurtured, in emotional ways too, like big belly laughs with another person, or being in love. We've got intellectual pleasures of learning something new, or reading a book. We've got creative pleasures of learning music or art, or spiritual experiences like nature or witnessing something in awe. These spark something in our body. It's a feeling. And these feelings, they get communicated to us through different sensations in the body. Like when you're hungry and your belly tells you, I need to eat something. Or when you're thirsty and it says, we need to drink something. Okay, so there's always things going on in our body that are telling us, communicating with us, our needs, the things that we need. And so what's happening today is that we are getting all this information and it's saying to us, I need friendship. But what do? We've created these new modern strategies for old, simple pleasures. Feeling lonely? Buy something. Feeling scared? Watch something. We have adapted these new strategies to fulfill these old pleasures. And this is why many of us don't feel happy anymore, because we've lost touch with these pleasures. And so pleasure gives us information, and that information tells us what it is that we need. And so these are actually the things that are core human needs. Do we resonate with these things? A sense of belonging, feeling a part of something. Do we crave to be a part of a community or feel valued at work or in our family? Do we desire to be seen and witnessed and in deep connection, not just on our screen or through a message, but really being seen for who we are? Not what we do or what we provide or what we produce, but just for being. And so these core human needs are all a part of fulfilling our lives. Pleasure is about us feeling alive and connected to joy and feeling satisfied. And these things are the things that lead us there. Okay? So, if we know that pleasure gives us information and helps us to fulfill what these needs are, well, why aren't we happy? Why can't we reach these things? Well, because it's very hard for us to actually listen to what's going on these days. Let's take a moment to think about your needs. Okay? Everyone just, if you feel like it, you can close your eyes for a moment or look down and just take a breath. Breathe in and out. Let's do 2 more. Breathing in and out. And just feeling your feet for a moment. Feeling the seat beneath you. Feeling the back support that you have, and in this moment you feel held. I just want you to ask yourself the question, what do I need right now? Give yourself a moment to ask yourself that question. What do I need right now? And opening back up your eyes. Okay, so hands up if that was easy. We got 2 people. Okay, but it's kind of hard, right? I mean, it's hard because you're just doing it in this moment as well, and it's a bit of an abstract question, of course. Okay, but lots of us have lost connection with what it is that we actually need. So if pleasure is information, and it tells us what our needs are, and our needs lead us to feeling alive, surely pleasure is the gateway back home to ourselves. Okay? So we've done this. Some was hard, some was easy. So what I want us to really know about this talk and continue to be with in every chapter of the journey we go on today is that if pleasure reveals our needs, and they're our core part of feeling alive and happy and well, then our needs can reveal our truth about ourselves. Okay? Not what we should do, not what we should be, but the truth of who we are. And our truth reveals our authentic self, and that is very exciting and what we're going deeper in talking about today. Okay, so if this is all true and we understand this intellectually, well, why aren't we happy? Okay, we've sort of already touched on it, but we enter candy pleasure. Bow, chicka, wow, wow, chicka, wow, wow, bow, chicka, wow. Candy pleasure is the seductress of pleasure, okay? Looking all sexy in those candy wrappers, wearing that foil outfits, so quick, so fast, so temporarily relieving. Candy pleasure is us binging those shows. It's the moment we get that craving that we want to satisfy something. Candy pleasure is going on a shopping spree, okay? Not that that's a bad thing, okay? These things that we're talking about, these quick hits, these candy pleasures, we don't want to shame them, we don't want to wrong them. They're not that bad. It's just when it becomes the entire menu of our life, then this ends up with us feeling dissatisfied, feeling like we need more, feeling like it's not enough, feeling like we've just had all the snacks before we got to the restaurant. So the candy pleasures, they're often those things that are really easy to have in the moment, like the junk food, and we crave them. But actually, they're not that good for us in the long run. They can let us feel numb. They can make us feel a bit of an emotional hangover sometimes. It messes with not just our gut, but our mind, and actually our sense of self too. So we can see candy pleasure as a bit of the junk food of the pleasure. Quick hits, like the fireworks, like a spectacle. So I want to tell you a little bit about, I guess, some candy pleasure in my life, though I could go on and on and on, and I'm sure you could go on and on and on and on. But for me, my most recent candy pleasure fix has been on Instagram. Okay, so I, like many other people, have my profile, I do the thing, I make the content, and I became so seriously addicted to Instagram, like all of us. And the cue, my need came up. I want connection. And what did I do? Went to Instagram, opened it up, fulfilled myself with that connection. Okay, I feel lonely, open it up, go in there. I feel unattractive, open it up, post a sexy photo, boom, lots of likes. Okay, so I was using it as my quick hit, as my validation. And then what happened one day? After going to bed with it every night, saying I love you, waking up with it every morning, saying, hey babe, you're so cute, Effectively, Insta was my boyfriend. Okay? And then what happened one day? Instagram disabled my account. Obviously for being too sexy. I know, we can talk about that later. But what then happened? This strategy that I had to rely on, to make me feel connected, to tell me that I was cute, to give me community, all of a sudden was gone. And that left a gaping hole inside of me because I hadn't figured out actually how to get to the source of all of those things or given myself the sustainable pleasure. I had just been band-aiding and using this strategy to give me that lovin'. Okay, so does anyone want to share a couple of their candy pleasure experiences? Go on. What does someone binge their candy on? Give me something, come on. I know you've watched one show and you've watched, come on, I'll hear it.
Hi. Going to the casino and spending everything.
The casino, baby. Okay, we know it. We know it. The casino can be such a candy pleasure hit. All right, all the colors, all the lights, the rush, am I gonna win, am I gonna lose? Fuck it, let's just do it. Okay, so these candy pleasures, they make us feel really good in the moments, but not so good afterwards. Okay, so if we're talking about pleasures bringing us closer to ourselves, and these things are seemingly pleasurable, well, why aren't we becoming closer to ourselves then? Okay, or what can we do? How do we choose something else? Okay, and so this is when we choose feast pleasure. Ah, okay. So most of us are walking around, grabbing the snacks, doing the thing that makes us feel better in the moment, but not asking ourselves, wait, do I want to fill up before dinner? Do I want to blow temporarily numbing out of this, or dealing with this, or replacing this feeling, or do I want to just try and wait? And so if candy pleasure is the fireworks, the spectacle, then feast pleasure is the campfire. Feast pleasures are those things that take time to cultivate. And actually, feast pleasures require us to be present with something, like going for a walk in nature, or taking the time to make that healthy meal. Like a campfire, you can't just push a button and turn it on. Campfire it requires us to go and get the wood, and even plan to make sure that the wood isn't wet outside somewhere. Okay, we've got to think about it, and that requires energy. But before we know it, we're putting the logs on the fire. We've got to give it oxygen, and before we know it, our community is around us, or our friends are around us, and we've pulled out a guitar, and we're sharing stories, and all of a sudden we can feel the fire and the warmth on our face and in our body, and we're like, oh wow, when did I even do this last? And instead of feeling a little bit of a vulnerability hangover, okay, we actually feel really connected, and we've actually chosen the pleasure that brings us closer to ourselves. And so if we can see candy pleasures as taking us away from ourselves or distracting ourselves, we can see feast pleasures as bringing us closer to ourselves, because it brings us to the present. Okay? So we want to feel feast pleasures. I'm going to give you another example of how I moved away from a candy pleasure and into more feast pleasures. And that example is, I grew up binge drinking so much booze, okay? I know a few of you probably know the vibes. In Australia, for sure, we are celebrated for binge drinking. We are celebrated for getting as drunk as possible, all right? And so that was me. Espresso martinis, Bloody Marys, margaritas, you name it, I got it, I'm drinking it, it's happening. So after many years of doing this, okay, no shade, it's perfectly fine to do this, but it's just when this becomes the entire menu, and it became the entire menu for me. So this candy pleasure, every time I was drinking, it was taking me away from myself. More and more things happened. I broke my foot. I ended up in the hospital for having 13 shots in a row. Okay? And so finally enough was enough. It all caught up to me through these type of health journeys. And so I made the uncomfortable decision to have to move into feast pleasures. And so a friend took me to breath work, and all of a sudden I started breathing and running and working out and getting strong, and it was really hard. It was really challenging. It was really uncomfortable. But now, 3 years sober, hell yeah, feeling so happy about where I'm at, and that's because I wasn't asking myself the question anymore, well, how do I want to feel right now? How do I get out of this feeling? And choosing the drink, I started asking myself, well, how do I want to feel tomorrow instead? Okay? And that can be a gateway to us choosing these feast pleasures. So, if these feast pleasures are so good, they're so powerful, they're so helpful, they're the key, well then, why aren't we choosing them? Why don't we choose the feast pleasures? Well, it's simple. The feast pleasures bring us into the present. And the present is often all backed up with uncomfortable feelings. Everyone wants to feel pleasure and joy and happiness and to feel alive, but nobody is willing to feel the sadness and the anger and the irritability, the uncomfortability of the things that get us down, of our experiences of heartbreak and of pain. And these things are all a part of the human experience. And so when we slow down and we choose the feast pleasure, there's bumper to bumper traffic of all of these feelings. And there's also one that I feel is probably the most, keeping us, I guess, the most away from who we truly want to be. Oh, here we go. Exactly, yes. So candy pleasure versus feast pleasure. We talked about this. Escape versus distraction, stimulation versus nourishment. Okay, candy pleasure is distracting us from ourselves versus feast is returning us to ourselves. Shame. Bum, bum, bum. I'm not shaming you, okay? But this feeling, none of us want to feel this one. Okay, this one goes so deep inside that so many of us have felt. Okay, it's the feeling of feeling really red and flushed in your cheeks, like you've done something wrong, like you're in trouble just for being you. So many of us have been shamed when we were younger, shamed about our bodies, shamed about our desires, shamed about what we like, who we like, who wore a really cute, amazing outfit and then got told it sucked. And then straight away you were like, oh, I can never wear this again, I can never do this again. Okay, so many of us have had these experiences of shame. And they're so uncomfortable to feel because we feel so wrong. Shame tells us we're wrong. Okay? And so we don't want to feel this. And because we don't want to feel it, the type of feeling that it is, it actually thrives off of being secretive in the corner of our minds. That's actually where it gets its power from. Okay, so a lot of us don't choose the feast pleasures or choose to be with ourselves because of many reasons, but specifically when it comes to pleasure, it's this thing. Okay, it's this feeling. And so what does shame actually lead us to be when we're talking about ourselves? Shame leads us to be our polished self. So if we're talking about pleasure revealing our needs revealing our truth, and our truth revealing ourselves, shame blocks us from our true self and leads us to the polished self. Okay? So the polished self is like your customer service representative, your project manager. Shame lives from the shoulders up. Sorry. The polished self lives from the shoulders up. It's analyzing, it's thinking, it's performing, it's taking in all of this information, and shame is asking, what should I do? What is going to keep me safe? What are they doing? How do I stay safe? Shame comes from self-protection. Shame operates through self-protection. It's always looking to protect itself from being embarrassed again, from doing the wrong thing again. Because we've been told, all right, that we were wrong inside. Often as a young person, and then often continued to be told by society. So shame, the feeling, is actually the biggest blocker towards the person we truly want to be and the deep, authentic needs that we have as a person, as a human. So, we've got the polished self. The polished self helps us survive. It helps us get through everything. No shade on the polished self. It's doing its job. Its job is to keep you safe. Its job is to protect you. Okay, so we don't want to bully the shame. We actually just want to recreate our relationship with it. And a lot of the time that's about bringing it to the surface and giving it a voice. But the weirdo self, okay, the weird self, that is our authentic self. Okay, that is the one that lives free from judgment, from shame. The weirdo self lives from the shoulders down in the body. It lives from inspiration and creation and curiosity. It lives asking, what do I want to do now? What's going to make me feel alive? The weirdo self, it beats to its own drum. It's like the one at the music festival that's deep in there, and it's in a conga line with a drag queen and dancing with someone dressed as a mushroom, having the time of its life. But the polished self is sitting at the bar with a drink, analyzing, what should I do? What will people think is cool if I do? Or is afraid to kind of throw themselves in there because of the fear of being exposed or judged or shamed, which is perfectly natural and normal. Okay, so the weird self is actually the self that we want to get to know. The weird self is the person that's living deep inside of us. So the polished self, it leads us to being a people pleaser. Okay, sure, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do the thing you're telling me to do. Okay? To perfectionism, to overworking, to the hyper independence. Everyone's trying to help you and you're just like, no, it's fine, I've got it. Okay? But really, probably do with some help, but it's very hard for us to ask for what we need. But the weirdo self, it doesn't apologize. It's unapologetically them. It's like, I'm just going to do this because I feel like it, deal with it. That's who they are. Okay? So it's got presence, and it's safe in exploring the world and making new connections. So this is all fun and well. And thanks for keeping up with me. There's a lot going on. All right, but we're doing really well. How do we break free from this shame? How do we break free from the judgment? How do we move from our polished self to our weirdo self? It sounds easy, but actually when it comes down to the moment, it's very hard. We've got all these strategies, we've got all this fear, we've got all this unsafety. What do we do? Well, we have to feel safe enough. Okay, we have to feel safe in our nervous system. We have to feel safe to be able to explore or say, hey, Mom, I wet the bed. Okay, we have to feel safe. And there's a lot of buzzwords going on out there about our nervous system, and that's a whole other talk. But basically, we want to, if we think of a nightclub, and we think the bouncer is our nervous system and the nightclub is our weirdo self, okay? We can't just rock up smashed in the line and be like, hey, let me in, okay? We need to be present and show up. And what can help us do those? Oh, here's the image. This is my AI image. Not safe today. Okay, so I want to explain one way in which I've done this, breakthrough shame. So there's many ways in which I've done this and supported other people to do it. Many times I've supported people to do it through taking their clothes off, but we're not going to do that today. One thing that's really supported me to do that has been through freestyle rapping. And what is freestyle rapping? Well, it's basically that you sit around, you put on some music, and then you have a topic, and then you just basically say and rap whatever comes out of your mouth. Does that sound confronting to people? Yes, it is very confronting, because you don't know what you're going to say. You can say something very embarrassing, all right? But the point is that you do it, and then you don't die in the process. Hopefully you're with safe enough people to do it, and so you just push through and you're like, whoa, I just did that, oh my God. Wow. Okay, so it's these 1%ers of pushing through these moments that can feel so scary, like we're gonna die. And then realizing, oh wow, I just did that. Cool. So the next time those feelings come up within you, you can ask yourself, okay, how do I make myself feel safe to feel this feeling? Okay? So now we're gonna get to know our weird self. Yeah, we are. Okay, so what I want us to do is I want you all to close your eyes for a moment. We're gonna do that. So closing our eyes, take a breath, and out. Nice. I want you to bring your awareness into your chest, into your heart. And I want you to picture your weirdo self. Go on. Picture who you are when you break out of the shackles of what you're supposed to be, of who they told you to be. What are they wearing? What are they saying? Are they singing or dancing? Or finally telling that person, no. And while you're here being with your weirdo self, I want you to give them a name. Come on. Give them a name. Taking a breath into your weirdo self, breathe in and out. Nice. And then just coming back into the room with me now, opening your eyes. Who wants to come up here and introduce everyone to their weirdo self? Come on. Who are you? What was your weirdo self name? Come on. I'm just going to stand here till someone comes and introduces themselves as their weirdo self. This is your moment. This is your moment to come and share the name, the character of someone that lives inside of you that's aching to come out. I promise we'll be kind to you. Yeah, we got this person. Round of applause for this person. Yeah.
My weirdo self is a banana, or banana.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, banana. I mean, why not? Why not channel the energy of a banana? Okay, so if we want to feel better inside of ourselves, if we want to get to know ourselves, if we want to have more pleasure in our life, and if we want pleasure to be the gateway to our authentic self, then we have to get to know our weird self. We have to get to know our weird self. And it's our feast pleasures that actually help us to do that. Okay? So the next time that we are in this predicament of binging, of shopping, of going for those quick hits, that temporary relief, that candy pleasure that's so seductive, well, maybe we can take another route. And it's not always going to be perfect, and it's not going to be easy. And there might be some gremlins in the shadows waiting for you to feel. But if we just do this 1% more every time, we are going to get closer to our authentic self. We are going to feel more joy, more aliveness, more pleasure in our lives. And that's what I know that we all desire deep down, okay? So, thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for coming to my speech. Thank you for putting yourselves out there and sitting with all the things that we've explored. Please come and chat with me. My name is Quinn. My business is Tendercore, hardcore but tender. I'm also doing some meditations every day over in the Healing Hub from 1 till 3. And that will also be about continuing to ask ourselves more about what it is that we need so that we can have more pleasure in our lives. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Feel free to come and chat with me. I'll be here for the next 10 minutes. Thank you.
So Quinn, you've still got 8 minutes if there's anything else you feel called to share with everyone, maybe some Q&A or anything like that.
Yes, cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Does anyone have any questions for Quinn? Something you've been sitting on that's burning that you want to ask her? Let's make the most of her time while she's here today. Who's got a question? Here we go.
Yep.
How do you become a professional hugger? Because that sounds like my ideal job.
Totally, I know. Well, funnily enough, there's a certificate you do online that's 10 hours, but I've done that, but that's not actually what made me certified at all. How do you become that way? Well, I guess I was actually just working as a masseuse, and many people would have, I guess, emotional releases whilst they were getting massaged, because this ties back to the core needs of feeling touch and feeling love and feeling seen. And so people would have these experiences, and I would often actually just hold them while they cried and allow them to just feel held. And so I just started offering that as something that I could also give to people. And especially these days, many people are what we call touch starved. So we're moving further and further away in this digital world from actually connecting as humans, that touch is becoming extinct. And touch is something that we need, that we have as babies when we're born. All we do is just connect with our parents to feel that love, and it's actually what grows our cognition and our muscles. And so I think, unfortunately, being a cuddle therapist is going to become a very, very important job in the future, one that cannot actually get replaced by AI. So I think you should take it up most definitely, because it releases so much oxytocin, and so much of us are walking around in our minds in that polished self, and people come to me feeling extremely anxious and stressed about their life and ruminating in their head, and they can't get out of their mind. And then literally within 5 minutes, we're laying there, I'm holding them, and all of a sudden they're taking some breaths, and their whole body just melts. And that feeling of actually feeling close to someone and feeling the warmth and the pulse of another person can completely shift our entire reality and be hours of therapy that's done without speaking and just through the body. So yes, if you would like me to support you or endorse you in your cuddling career, then please, I would love to.
Great question. We had someone else down here.
how do you cope with stage fright?
Yes, that's a huge one. And kind of like I've said, it is just about doing the 1%ers, okay? It's not like, coming and bringing you here right now and being like, push through, that's actually not gonna make you feel good at all. It's actually just about sort of slowly doing it, okay? So for me, for instance, with the freestyle rapping, firstly, how that came to be was I would see friends on stage like this, and they would be singing and dancing, and I would sit there and I would just cry because I would be like, I want that so badly. Like, look at you. You can just be like, I want it. And so almost the pain of not having it had to push me into taking these baby steps. And so those steps just start with supporting yourself to feel safe, okay? So doing that nervous system stuff, doing the breathing, doing lots of self-touch, I'm okay. And then practicing just in a small group with someone, okay? Practicing just speaking softly to louder. You just take these little tiny steps, and as those steps progress, all of a sudden you realize, okay, I can do this. Okay, so it's possible. It's just actually not about thinking about it as this huge, overwhelming thing. It's about, okay, maybe I'll sign up for the thing, right? Maybe I will take this one next step. Because like with anything, if we think about the bigger picture, it can be very overwhelming. So we want to break it into sort of smaller little steps. Does that help? Cool. Come see me afterwards. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah. You can spend all your life, like being a mother, a job, working, to all these life commitments. And then it's hard to break the mold, right? It's like break out of that. So, like when you were a child, you had that commitments to anything, really, and then when you're 20 and an adult, there's all these family issues, work commitments. So yeah.
Oh, that was a special.
That's okay. No, I understand. I understand that, like, it's easier to just do whatever you want when you're younger, and somehow time moves on, and then all of a sudden we have all of these commitments. We have to show up as a mother, as a daughter, as a child, as a employee. We have to show up as a neighbor. We actually don't have any more time. Okay, that's what actually is happening. Is the capitalism is turned us into slaves, and we are valued on our productivity, and we're just moving so fast, and that just becomes the pattern in which we operate in. It's this autopilot pattern, and then it becomes really difficult to break free of that and create our new expression. But again, it's actually just about finding one thing. You just decide, you know what? I actually used to sing as a child. Why don't I sing anymore? And then you just go to one choir class. And when you're in that class with those 30 people around you, singing, or at least trying to, maybe it's not the first time, just like the stage. Maybe it's just that you come and you sit there in the corner and you just watch. That's a win, okay? Then maybe the next time you go and you're in it and you're surrounded by everyone singing, and maybe you don't do it yet, but you're just slowly getting more comfortable with doing it. But the feeling that you get when you are in resonance, okay, which is something that the body tells you, oh, I feel this. You can't unfeel that. And that is what, I guess, gives you the next hit to follow it again, to follow it more. And a lot of the time also, we end up actually just, it's a non-negotiable in the end. Something happens to us, our health, or we lose a job, or we go into empty nesting syndrome. And all of a sudden, we've done everything for everyone else and we realize, wow, what do I want? What should I do? And so we just try things out, even if it's just for 5 minutes if we have no time. Cool. 3 seconds. I'm over by 4 seconds. Any last questions before I go? No? Okay, come talk to me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Quinn.